G'day and welcome back to the Ranless Z. We just got ourselves a tattoo. We've now marked our own skin with some stuff about the move in the great game, which increases our pages skill. And we're once again preparing for another trip out of London. So it's going through our inventory, going through our quests. We've got ourselves a load of Sphinx Stone, so we need to make sure we sell off the Sphinx Stone. And just like, what do we then do with our money? We don't have a great deal right now. So what are we going to keep? What are we going to get rid of? What is worth? What are our actual goals right now? Beyond the slow accumulation of wealth, which really is a goal in of itself. And so that's what I'm doing here. So the first stage of planning is just going through what you've got in the hold and what you've got sitting in your journal. So here I realized I've got that unstamped Crate of Brilliant Souls. So that is something I need to take somewhere, which is Mount Palmerston, if I recall correctly. So I'm just trying to go through what I have sitting at hand, and yep, try and fill up that hold as much as I can. And that thing of souls means my next stop is Mount Palmerston. This is kind of the normal first move of the blinded man. And so that's basically where we need to go. Now, Mount Palmerston is always towards the top of the map, which means that's where we're headed. We're headed north. We're not going to go all the way north, obviously, but we are going to, take a look around. And I think we will start, as you often do, with a trip to Hunter's Keep, because why not? It's not like anything can possibly go wrong with this approach. Oh no, actually we start with a trip to Low Barnet, because again, nothing could go wrong there. This stop is pretty brief. I don't really have anything to spend here. So it's just like, let's make sure we get that port report. Don't forget, dumb thing to miss out on. It's worth 15 echoes and a fuel, so it's roughly worth 25 echoes for not much work. And then it didn't use up something away to a port. We didn't have it yet. It gave us a little bit more time to kind of generate it, so over we go to Hunter's Keep. Super close, so super easy to get to. Unfortunately, I haven't quite realized that I don't have something way to a port, so I kind of get the choice of spending menus or just get the port report and leave, which is what I ended up doing. I mean, that's a bit of a waste, because I can go back there on the way back down, but who knows? Let's see where this takes us. We've got enough money now that we can really start to adapt to things on the fly. So I spot the crappy pirate ship, so kind of figure we got a new gun, so we should spend it. Easy enough to pop them, and that gives us some random loot, drops our terror a little. Admittedly, we gain terror because we are we're using our lights, but hey, why not? I'm not sure if the net we actually lose terror in total, because it's not that obvious that you even do lose terror when you kill things. So it's relatively hard to keep track on, since you're just looking at a bar most of the time. And yeah, let's just keep going north. Next up, Venderbite. Don't know that we get up to very much here. I mean, we pick up the quest here for having an Untersea Traveller. There's someone who wants us to go to the Undercrow and do something with tyrant moths, or the underwater version of it, which we're not equipped to do, but we might as well grab all of the quests that we can. Yes, that's right. The assistant at Rosegate we found. So we said, hey, we'll feed you and we'll take you to Rosegate. We can totally do that. So we did that, allowing us to kind of move on with the quest there and just kind of keep going. Explore Venderbite and get our port report. We can visit the restaurant that we were told about on Demo Island, which helps us reduce things. It's also possible to recruit the cook here, but 300 echoes is a lot of echoes, and it's more than I'm carrying with me at the moment, so nah. I don't even have enough to do another load of Sphinx Stone right now, so I'm not going to do that. We might as well gather Gossip and explore Vendorbyte. So we will do that once I click on the buttons. So Tomb Colony port report, always useful. And we're not doing last tour operator. It's a big long quest and it requires more hull space than I really want to. And plus, it uses 12 supplies when you start it. I do not have 12 supplies right now. No thanks. And then just continue north. Next stop is going to be probably the Wither in top left. So I'll see you there. Thing I should note when approaching the Wither, there's always a lifeberg right near it. I am nowhere near tough enough to actually deal with lifebergs at the moment. They're animate iceberg things. I can, take pot shots at them for no real purpose. But yeah, they're aggressive, they're mean, and I don't like them. I can only kill them at this stage by being very cheesy, and we're not going to do it. We're just going to go straight over. But that is a thing you should remember when you make similar trips. In we go. So the Wither, we got the option to go to the house of the question, but also we got to gather our intelligence, and I think I just basically explore the town. Shore leave doesn't seem really worth it. Costs a lot, reduces terror a little. Frankly, most of the time I'm going to try and go to London to reduce terror, because that caps your terror at 50. And so here we find a suspicious castaway, so we will send a crew over to it and send a troublemaker, in fact. And the troublemaker gets eaten, and that drops our terror further, because no one liked him, or something. I don't quite get why the murder of a man in front of you could ever cause this, but apparently it does. And there's another lifeberg, so we definitely just want to make sure that we are staying away from him. This is why Veils is so useful, because it sees enemies not look at you. Our next stop is just going to be Codex. It's always here. It's also not a very interesting port. It lets you get crazed monster hunters, which are a kind of ammunition, if you can believe. And it's for a very special weapon that we do not have, and we probably won't get, because they cost a lot. And they're not great. Doom monster hunters, not crazed monster hunters. There is someone who wants to go to an undersea port here, however, so we might as well pick up that, because they don't take any supplies, food, anything. There's no penalty for taking it now, and so we will do that. And then we will continue on exploring east. As the game goes on, each of these individual trips is going to get longer and longer, and my plan is to basically have each trip be a trip from London and back to London. So you're going to see less and less of the Z voyages unless something particularly interesting is happening. So here we have, you can hear it in the music, in fact, but we have come across Mount Palmerston. This is kind of the place we had to go to before we could return to London, due to the Bruiser's request. So that's what our souls are for, our crater souls, and it's a pretty interesting place. It's also useful to just keep in mind, because it's one of the cheapest places to buy fuel in the Neath. So it's really useful to just take advantage of that fact. So that's what we're going to do. Also, we are going to grab this veiled woman who wants to do something. She wants to go where? I'm not really sure. Listen to the Imperious Sister. I should check up on that next time I play. And she wants to speak to us. She wants to be reconciled with her dear brother, who's a very sensitive soul who used to work for the Admiralty, and he's gone somewhere. I've also got the opportunity to engage an officer I've never engaged before, but that requires parabola linen, which I don't carry with me. It requires 5 bales of it. That's 300 echoes worth of stuff. Don't really know that I want her at that price. Hopefully she'll show up in London at a cheaper price, because you can get pretty much all of them from London at some point. So the view from above, a high place, the Z rippled sheet of the night green jade, the roof of the Neath above, bellied with stalactites, false star. It's like basically I can then contemplate my past, looking across the water. What are you thinking of? And that boosts my pages by 5. Like, this is one of the few events I've found that lets you boost your pages. That's pretty interesting. And potentially, boosting your pages gives you secrets faster, which allows you to increase all your stats faster. Again, I'm not entirely sure how much time you should spend on it, but could be useful. And here's another source of supplies for only a little bit more than they cost in London. So it's useful to know about that too. It's one of the things that you get as you play the game, that certain locations are valuable just because of the ability to buy supplies, because not all places have shops, and some of them, those shops are very expensive. So there's something underwater, so one of the underwater ports to the south. So we're definitely going there next. Here we are, we've found it, and we've finally found a spot where we can actually sink. I think what you'll find is just behind us is the port of Anthe, which we could actually kind of see a little bit through the Z. Anthe is a port of crystal, and you can, in fact, everything is crystals. Flowers are crystals, spiral matrices, and the inhabitants slowly turn to crystal, and this is generally seen as a good thing, although the crystal people are kind of passionless. They're also immune to a whole lot of things and very strong, and we get the opportunity to do the same. We can consider our own condition and basically slowly become more crystalline, and that unlocks more stories here. So I got our port report, and it turns out with my current heart stat I can get the capacity for 3 kinds of sharpness fairly easily. So that's what I've done. So the first 2 are literally straightforward challenges. I cannot fail them. I haven't found anything that says that gives me a penalty for having a capacity for sharpness. So it's then just like, what do I want to do? What sounds interesting? Do these come up elsewhere? So I try going sharp in the liver, I think, which makes me immune to poison. And then there's things I can do where the crystal livered like to basically drink poison that they're immune to. And so we did that, and we enjoyed our poison. We could have contributed to the celebration, but we didn't bring any wine. So that is kind of disappointing. It's one of those things where it's like, if I had the whole space and the money, I kind of should bring wine and honey and just small amounts of some of the more normal bits of inventory with me, because that would allow me to do more quests. But I haven't. So I can also remove all my sharpness. It doesn't change my capacity, but it lets me change the sharpness as I have. But it gives me a wound. If you ever reach 3 wounds, you die. So I'm not really going to do that. I increased my lung capacity, and so I could go and follow a polythreme exile. I think that's kind of where I was looking, is just trying to see what I could get following these guys. What storylines I could. But this then, he goes into an area where I need to also be sharp in bone, and I'm not sharp in bone, so I need to increase my capacity further. And okay, so that's what I did. I went, okay, I need to increase my capacity. I have a decent chance, so I'll give it a go. I suspect if I fail that, I might gain a wound. I don't know. I don't know what happens if you fail. And let's mineralize our skeleton. Unshakable iron will and unshakable integrity. It could be handy. So there we go. Don't recommend falling from a height. You can't break your bones, but they will break through you. And that's not very nice unless you sharpen your skin and make that not work. At some stage, I'll come back and pursue some of the other stories, but I can chase down the polythreme exile now, but I don't think I have quite everything I need to clear it all. Yep, okay, found the drinking house. He shows us the palm of his hands where they've got crystals in them. Polythreme makes it clay again. Polythreme will heal everything. So that's kind of neat, and there's also an opportunity to practice holding the ceiling, and if we failed, which gained us a terror. It's kind of silly, and we also lost one, but we can basically gamble on continuing that, except it costs us money every time. So it's a way of losing terror, but I don't think we need to worry about terror so much. And so it's kind of contemplating acquiring more sharpness, but nah, let's get out of here and move on to our next stop, which I'm not entirely sure. I think we're gonna head south. We could also head east a little. It's one of those things where it's always a little uncertain where we're gonna go and what we're gonna do until we do it, because that's just how I roll. Until next time, well, I'll see you at the next stop. I think I'm in fact gonna try heading south in the water, which is an unusual step for me because, yeah, I checked out of it fairly quickly. Never mind. Heading south, the next thing we found is Gator's Mourn. Gator's Mourn is a place full of pirates and mystery, and frankly, there's also some links to a story that is not accessible at this time to people that did not back at a sufficient tier, which is the Pirate Poet. So we don't do that. We do get another view from above, and I'm gonna again focus on my past as a poet, increase that pages count even further. I mean, that sounds fantastic to me, so let's do it, and then we'll just keep going south. We will use something, or we just use something awaits the support, so there's nothing really to go for here. I kind of wonder how I meant to get ships to Gator's Mourn, but I suspect that requires weapons that are damaging the crew and not necessarily the hull, which I've not invested in. The other problem with Gator's Mourn is it has a bunch of pirates around it, and so we'll just keep going, and I'll see you at the next stop, which or when something interesting happens on the Z. The next stop is in fact one of my favorite islands from the initial release, Pigmote Island, which is an island inhabited by intelligent rats and intelligent cavies, which I think are a kind of hamster or guinea pig, one of the two. And they're having a bit of a scrap. They don't really like each other, and they want to, like, each side wants to take control of the island. And so what I then have to do is decide whether I want to go with the more mechanical rats or the cavies. So that used to be it, basically, this initial storyline where you have one side triumph over the other and potentially steal the glowing eye, which is one of the two options here. But they've actually significantly expanded this island storyline. It used to be I would generally side with the cavies because they give you a mascot that gives you pages, and then it was a really useful spot to stop because you would get free like 3 supplies from it whenever you did. I know that Jarenth really likes to just steal the stone. The stone's quite valuable in itself, but there are other sources of blue scintillac, so I kind of couldn't be I don't feel like that trade-off is worth it because then the island is close to you. But what we do have is the options to now what we have is the option to develop the island further. So we no longer get the free feast every time we show up, which is a pity. And if we'd gone with the rats, we'd get free repairs every time we turned up, which is also very useful. But it's definitely much more interesting, and it's something that I'm keen to kind of explore as we go through this this run. So right now, all I did is I helped I visit the various parts of the island and talk to the cavies about the rats. I did try and have both sides like form an accord at the end, but unfortunately the cavies did not go for it. It is very difficult to have them agree to not be complete jerks to the other side, both of them. And I opted, as is my wont, to be very sneaky and to secure the eye that the rats controlled, which is that glowing piece of scintillac, and then provide it to the cavies, basically making them win. And I tried to, as I said, I tried to speak up on behalf of the rats, and the cavies were like, nah, that's crazy talk. But I did pick up a cavie guinea pig, which is nice. A guinea page, as the saying is. And so it is now one of the new mascot options that I have. And I can, every time I show up, I can help them resolve a dilemma until whatever the next step happens, which I haven't seen yet, so it'll be interesting to find out. And I can also always try and steal the eye, but I'm not gonna do it. That just isn't really what I'm after. I can smuggle fuel into the rat ghetto, which seems like a great idea, and so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna assist the rodent revolution, so let's just smuggle fuel in. That costs us 2 fuel each time, but sounds like a great idea. It also gives us a cache of curiosities, which is not nothing. For a cost of 20, getting a random item, that's pretty good, frankly. So definitely a lot more to do at this port over time, and that's what I'm keen to come back and use and find out. Alright, so now we're done at pig mode, and it's time to move on. We've got plenty of fuel, not so many supplies, so it's going to be a long trip this time round. I'll see you at the next stop. Using my bat nearby, I found out that actually we're right near another underwater port, so this is, again, new stuff for me as well. So let's submerge and take stock. And so here is Nook, which is a particularly inviting looking port, given that it is a giant sea monster that people are living inside, and you literally are entering its throat. It's super strange and, you know, only a little terrifying. It's been forced open with thick hot metal beams. We can enter it. The only downside here is it costs you you can't go out in a diving suit because no one likes it. Everyone's naked basically, or maybe is wearing a little bit, and they're just breathing the water, which obviously we can do if we want. And so the very first time it's free, but after that you need to drink wine to basically help get used to going into the water. Don't quite follow that either, but apparently it's true. Unfortunately, I managed to inadvertently break the storylet here, so I didn't get to explore Nook. Instead, I got nothing. Nothing at all, and this really sucked. See, by going to the shops, I left the storylet, apparently. So I would need to have brought wine to go back in. I didn't even get the port report, because you need wine to enter Nook, and you need to enter Nook to get the port report, and I felt really screwed over by this. It seems really bizarre that going to the shops would then lock me out of the rest of the fricking place. But apparently it did. And so that was a really unprofitable trip. And I'll see you at the next stop. And next time we will definitely make sure we bring the things we need to actually explore Nook. We enter the reefs, which means that we're near Port Cecil. And I think at this point I'm like, okay, what can I actually spend some of my secrets on? And I start looking at what each of my companions can offer me. And I think I'm just trying to look at what stats I can increase, because I remember there were a number of skill checks, but I think they're mostly pages based, which basically means that there's not much point in doing that. But we're right near our goal. The key problem is this freaking eel that's kind of in the way. As you can see, Port Cecil right near us to the south, just on the other side of the eel. So definitely something I want to find a way to deal with. But I don't think I do. I think I just sneak past here. It's tricky though, because that eel is fairly keen to stay near us and near the port. And so I'm just trying to deal with that. I think I'm trying to find a way to kind of lure it away, The problem with this approach is it's really boosting my like my terror, and also I keep banging into rocks, which is not very clever. I light a fire, so this is something I haven't really done, but I don't want to fight it. I really don't want to fight it. I mean, I want to win if I gotta fight it. And it's like, yes, no, I got past it. Which means, actually, I can totally cheese this later on. So we've got the gnomic Gallivant that we can assist. We've done most of his quest. It seems kind of silly to not let that storyline pay off. So after we grab the port report, we can start the chest storyline. I kind of remember if I explore the coral and sneak up to these pirates and manage to get some more secrets. They're just giving us rumors, nothing that really seems actually that useful to us. But it's fragments, and fragments are secrets, and secrets are stat advances, so that all sounds pretty nice to me. And so now we begin the chess game series. And this is really good at advancing your pages. It takes some time, but each one of these page checks increases your pages by 1. So it's all about doing chess moves and becoming better at chess, so you can then do something particularly interesting. So I failed that first one, which is a pity. This last one, but I nearly made it without any failures. It's just like, come on, I'm so close. It doesn't take that much. I have more than a 50% chance shot. One more game. Checkmate. Now, with enough games, something else will happen. Gained 1 more pages. We gained a bunch of secrets. And so now we've got one last game to do, which this time we succeeded the first time. And that, this is again just giving us so many fragments. Interestingly enough, we don't get change with fragments. So that going up to 500 was a bit of a waste, technically. Which is kind of disappointing to have. Now we've got an extra move, which gives us access to a new area and a new quest. And a new companion, who is kind of the unadvanced form of our current companion that we got by keeping him. Which seems a bit strange, but hey. Moving out, we got an iron and 2 iron. In fact, we got 1 wound, and we can assist the principals with the dissolution. So it wants various things. We want certain things, us to do certain things with the outcast. In fact, at the Salt Lions, which is, as I said, it's kind of strange for us because we already have the advanced one, but we don't get to use it here because it's got to go through a ritual, and then it's the outcast that does something here. But yeah, so we talk to the gnome. The gnome helps us. The gnome kills an immortal man apparently, and we agree to take the gnome to the King Eater's castle. So that's the last step. That will be interesting when that rolls around. But I think that's everything that we were going to get done at Port Cecil. So the next step is deciding whether or not to buy more supplies. They're 50% more expensive here. Not a great deal. But no, I think we can get going. I think it's time to deal with that bloody eel the cheesiest way possible. So, you can't attack while you're in port, but things also won't attack you, for whatever reason. So what I can do is the cheesiest of all tactics, which is go backwards into port, shooting this thing. Then, when it turns around and wanders off, go forwards, shoot it, back up, go forwards, shoot it, back up, go forwards, shoot it, back up. And it slowly dies. It doesn't take that long actually. But this prevents it from charging. And the great thing is, if it turns around, it has to spend all that time turning back. And yeah, it's almost dead, so let's just pop it. And then we get to actually cut it up and see what's inside. It's an ugly thing, even uglier dead than alive. Friendlier though. Dissect it, so we get knowledge, we get a hunting trophy, and we get Stygian ivory. All useful things for trade later on. So now let's continue on to our next stop. Next stop is just Demo Island. It's kind of on the way back to London. We're a little low on hull, and I think I'm just starting to decide it's really time to just head home. Got enough space to kind of do a little bit more exploration, and Demo Island's pretty good for getting supplies, so I probably will do that. But in fact, here with the factor, there we go, straight up. Lose some terror, gain some supplies, and it then kind of continue with my way. I also kind of consider literally gathering supplies, but nah, not worth the risk to the crew. Might as well just use get the port report and head south. I think it's like, okay, how much space and time do I have? Don't have any money, so I can't actually get anything from get a load of Sphinx Stone, but I do have a task at the salt lines, so I can head there. I can take out the steam pinnaker on the way, and just kind of keep going. I did stay lit up a little too long there, so it did get a shot off at me, but as long as I'm not dumb, it just gives me that little bit of items, that further terror reduction, and yeah, why not? So keep going. There we are at the salt lines. So I was hoping to be able to get the Nacris Survivor stuff done, but you need the attention of Salt. So I can talk to, like, I can get the port report, I can attempt to do it, but nothing happens, because it's like, hey, we need Salt's attention, and so that's something we need to remember to do. Have tea with the guys, the unmakers, and then we can't afford to do anything else, so it's time to go. I did miss the text the first time around, so I do try a couple of times before realizing what it's actually saying. After a brief fight with some pirates, we pick up some more random junk. Is there anything useful? I don't really remember. But the other thing, yeah, supplies and fuel. That's actually pretty handy. In fact, 2 lots of supplies and fuel for some reason. I don't know why that triggered twice. But we also then have, we're trying to get down into Rack, and we have a slight problem, which is to say this, we get our wound, so we can spend our supplies to heal a wound, or we can just tough it out, which I didn't think was a great plan, so I spent that 1 supply. So I mean, we just did recently get more supplies, and then we dive down into Rack. I don't know that we do much here in Rack. I think it's mostly just go in, get that port report, and maybe sell some supplies. I don't think so though, because we've only got 4. We also very competently piloted ourselves into the edge of the docking port, so doesn't seem very helpful. Ah, right, Scintillac. I need Scintillac to deal with the king here, so I should do that. But yeah, get the port report, consider the state of the city, follow the echo through the hulls. We can't actually pick up anything here. This is a place to dispose of songs, which we don't have. If we look at the state of the city, we can get at the shops, but I forgot to do that. Oh well. So now it's just like, where do we go next? And I will see you there, wherever it is. Of course, the next stop is Rosegate, because we have someone to drop off. We've got that assistant. So we might as well do that, and then we can pick up whatever the next quest is in that storyline. And that always sounds good. I do like progressing these stories. So yeah, witness a reunion. Last hatch blew up on me. Welcome back. And yeah, reaches out, shake your hand. Our patron has forsaken us, only interested in his project to the south. Left my apprentice to starve and hasn't arranged the delivery of the materials I require. So maybe you can give me the materials. So that's kind of the next thing. He wants some items. He won't wait forever. So he wants taste of mild coffee, taste of kettle steam, luscious flavor, and yeah, I don't quite get what each of those things will be, but we need to kind of remember to bring some of those. So yeah. Okay, so the robust flavor, that's actually just a straightforward iron challenge. So the next piece that we need, oh right, I think it needed a clayman of sort of, yeah, no, right. But the other ones we need unread log, which is going to be from some underwater thing, I suspect, and yeah, I think it's all going to be things we need from underwater events. And so we're going to need to find things and then try and bring them back here. Ambiguous airlith, oh, we can get those on the surface. And romantic notions, yep, both of those are things we can get. It's the unread log then, that is the thing that we need from down below somewhere, because I've never come across that before. There's probably something new. We can also sell some interesting things here. We can sell heart metal here for 120. We can sell artist room things and hunter's eye things, but nothing we really want to sell. What I do want to know is what that sparkly thing is over there, but it's just lumpy stuff, so I don't think there's much here. It's trying to balance, okay, is it a monster, is it something I want to interact with, or should I just be leaving? I don't think there was anything down here that was something I was actually after interacting with. Yeah. So it's just time to go on to the Isle of the Cats and Visage. We dock at the Isle of the Cats, Port Cavendish. And so last time around I was kind of a bit too worried about potential consequences to really spend much time on the island. So I just compiled a port report. This is one of the most disturbing islands for a character that's trying to be fairly conservative with how evil they want to be, basically. So I've always been a bit leery of spending too much time here, but I mean, no one really judges you for it, so might as well actually spend our time here and get close to each of the sides. Try and get to a point where we can buy ourselves red honey if we want a way of getting money, because it is one of the more profitable approaches you can potentially take. So that's kind of what I did. It's just me going through each of the stories and slowly gathering attention as we look into the various factions here. At some point I needed to decide whether I'd go with the king or the abbess, and I don't quite remember what I did right now, but there's definitely like, okay, what do I want to do to buy up favor here? And you can buy up King's Notice with fragments, which are relatively cheap, so I had enough fragments to do that twice. Didn't really want to spend 5 Z stories, so I decided to go to the Abbey and see if there was something more useful there. Don't really have as much use for lamentable artifacts, but I also got a lot of fuel. So 5 fuel, yeah, I can do that. I can still get back on 7 fuel. And that gained us fragments, which we could then spend at the other one. But I think we then spent a lamentable artifact. And there we go, we've got enough. And we get to speak with the lady here and decide whether or not we want to stick with her. I don't think we did, at least initially. So the other option is to side with the Pirate King. And I don't remember what I picked. I may have gone back and sided with the Abbess. King's Claw, yeah, let's see. Talk to him. Maze the corridors. We can choose to accept the offer. You can only pick one. There's also the well-dressed notary. Yes, this is the secret of immortality. This is actually one of the reasons why I want to be here. So, I very much forgotten about that. So I think I end up deciding to accept that one because of the well-dressed notary. So now I sided with Isuri, and Isuri gives us a commission to take some red honey somewhere, to take it to the alarming scholar. in London. So we need to make sure that we do that when we next go to London. And here I'm just trying to work out what I want to do. I definitely want to increase fails because this means I'm now carrying contraband. I also accidentally, I continued the story of the magician, which is interesting, but I didn't really intend to do that, but we might as well, yeah. So we need to bring a bunch of echoes back for our ambition here. And so yeah, got that, and now it's time to kind of head north after increasing our veils more. So I'll see you at the next stop. I have a very quick stop in Visage. It was going to be longer, but I don't have anything awaiting me at the port right now, so it seemed kind of silly to stop and wait. I did definitely think about it, and it took a while for me to decide, but I just don't have the supplies to do much else. So the next stop is basically, I'm heading straight for London. I'll probably stop at Martin Island, and so I'll see you there. So I mean, this stop at Martin Island is mostly just to use up something away to a port. There's not much else, and get a port report that I otherwise wouldn't have. It's worth 1 echo to, it cost me 1 echo to buy, and yeah, it's just an opportunity to do that. And so we do some beachcombing, and we pick up more supplies, which was surprising. It's like, okay, so I've now got the capability of doing a much longer trip. I don't have to literally make a dead run for London. I can afford to play around a little bit more. So this crab is going to be the first victim of that capability of mine to play around. Except it escapes. Little prick. Ah, well. Is it worth chasing? Is it worth chasing? Probably not. Let's keep going. What a jerk. Escaping my well thought out plan to kill it. Here we go. Swap out the kitten for the mascot, for the guinea pig. Seems good. Keep going. So the question is, do I head straight back to London, or do I go to Low Barnet or Hunter's Keep? I think it'll depend on whether or not that gong sounds. Well, I'll join you at the next stop. That's right, Low Barnet is the next stop because we've got some underwater ports that we've been to before, so I'd rather trade stories than progress anything else. So that eventually I can do the contest, and that's exactly what I do. So it's like I haven't been to Anthea before on this trip, so I can do Rosegate, and I think that's about it, and Rack. So let's tell a story of Rack. And there we go. Again, it's already broken the surface, and last week it got its first dirigible. And then let's talk about Rosegate, which Glebing caverns of cigars, and uplifting bite of surface cut grass, and that's about it. Like just increasing our reputation, so that maybe next time we can do things. But we don't really have any opportunity to do anything else here, so next time. And we're done with that, so let's move on to the next stop. We've still got something that waits to support, so I think it's going to be Hunter's Keep. I was wrong, it's London. I don't know why exactly, but hey, so we stop, we collect our messages from the Harbour Master, and we kind of go through our basic closing stuff. Our souls were delivered, so we can accept our payment from the Blind Bruiser, which gives us some money and another quest. This time we get money to buy something from elsewhere. So we need to go to Polythreme. So next time round, that will definitely be included on our lengthy trek. And we also have a delivery from Issery to the Scholar, so we do that. We sell off our item to her, and we now have a promise of reward the next time we go to the Isle of the Cats. We should remember to do that in the future. And keep going. We sell off our port reports. We make sure that we submit our vital intelligence, which increases London supremacy, but more importantly gives us more money and gives us an admiralty favor. and lets us get spies. Voracious Diplomat is kind of an interesting thing. She's someone I'm never really going to deal with if I can avoid it, because she raises New Dawn, which can cut off our ability to do things with the Admiralty, and I don't want that. And then it's, do I sell things? Do I keep things? Just the kind of standard stuff. Nothing particularly interesting. So I'll join you next time when we will have another trip from London out into the Z. I hope you join me then. Bye. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate you spending the time and effort watching the videos I make. If you'd like to watch more, on the left there should be another video from this playlist. On the right there will be whatever YouTube recommends, and in the center there is a convenient subscribe button just in case you need it.